Can YouTube ghost hunting channels be trusted? Do they know exactly how the technologies they utilize in their investigations actually work? Do they have, perhaps, ulterior motives and agendas that need to be paid attention to? We'll discuss all this and more in this episode of Occam's Razor. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Occam's Razor, a video series where I watch paranormal and supernatural footage and tell you how stupid you are for believing it to be legitimate. Let's get right into it with the first clip. Alright, this first clip comes to us from Wales, way across the pond. A investigative group called Gypsy Investigators. They are in northern Wales on an island at a farmstead. In the first shot here, which is going to be on your right-hand side, just underneath in the top right corner, you can see the silhouette of what appears to be a person. Probably is a person. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is the impeccable and probably intentional duplication of the angle between the cameras. Now, in the shot on the right, where they first catch the figure, they had just finished up a shot of dialogue and decided, oh, the sound is too shit, we have to move somewhere else, so they're walking away, talking about where they want to do their next shot. In the shot on the left, they're just walking away, talking about nothing. The interesting difference between the two that I notice is that the first shot on the right, the cameraman actually pans and follows them and walks with them. And the second shot on the left, which is later on, the cameraman stands perfectly still, does not walk with them, does not move at all. Very curious to me. The other curious thing to me is that during this second clip on the left-hand side, when they are walking away from the stationary cameraman, he turns a flashlight on, immediately shines it up into that corner where the figure was, and then shines it away real quick and turns it off. That, to me, shows evidence of foul play. They wanted focus being put on that spot. They wanted the angles of both shots to be similar so people couldn't debunk it. And they tried to add another layer of validity by saying we didn't notice that figure in the footage until afterwards, because dumb people believe that shit and think that that's some sort of layer of evidence, which it fucking isn't. That does not negate the possibility of a staged scenario in the first fucking place. Now, there's obviously a person up there. The person is obviously gone a moment later, or however many minutes later the second shot was. Now, the two most logical things that could have happened here is that it was staged by the investigators themselves, which I think is the most likely scenario, or the investigators themselves genuinely believe they caught something, didn't see it until later, and the whole thing was staged by the proprietors of this facility, this farmstead, who, knowing that a semi-famous YouTube channel would get them plenty of exposure. I don't know how beneficial that would or would not have been. I can't speak to the owner of this place, but it also stands to make sense that they would want the investigators who are there to walk away with something. I don't think it's anything supernatural or paranormal. I think it's a real fucking person, and there's definitely foul play going on. So those are my two cents on this one. Alright, this next clip comes from Kian and JC's YouTube channel. Now, something that a lot of people like to point out about channels like these is you like to, and you think that it's some sort of evidence that their footage is more legitimate by saying that, oh, they're not a ghost hunting channel. They just happen to do one of these videos where they were in a haunted place and they caught something. That is not a layer of evidence or validity to any of their videos. That's actually, in my mind, it gives them a little bit more incentive to fake something, because at the point in a channel where you're trying to get nothing but views, that is your entire goal of your channel, you don't give a shit about the actual content, you're not going to go to a place like this, spend an entire night recording footage, and then walk away with nothing. Now, a little bit of backstory about Kian and JC. Kian was a very poor student when he was in high school and dropped out and never went to college, and JC actually dropped out of college. Take that as you will, I'm just relaying information. Another interesting fact about the two of them is they are both actors that have both worked in Hollywood. They can be considered paid professional actors. They have acted in front of the camera, which also shows that they know how to manipulate, how to work cameras. They know media, they know the environment, they know how to get views, they know how to perform in front of a camera. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and watch the clip. Now, during this entire thing, they build up to this, again, clip that they didn't see when it happened, which does not add validity to it if they didn't see it. That is just as plausible to be staged as anything else in this clip. Okay, so here we are. I've gone to the original video. Wanted to show you guys just how knowledgeable these guys are with their shooting. They know their stuff. Obviously, they know exactly when to start and stop a clip to get the most oomph out of it. Here's the start of the clip. So they edited this intentionally. It starts here, then boom, another patron of this hotel boat where there are tons of other people here tonight comes out of the elevator and spooks them. Great way to set the mood for the shot. Now, I think they might mention it once in one of the other videos, but they don't in this one, is that there is a haunted maze going on the boat at the time that they are shooting this, which is why I'm not even looking at the other clips where they hear voices and girls screaming and stuff like that, because it's fucking obvious what that shit is. I don't care where in the boat they are. If you hear a bunch of other people screaming, don't be scared or this or that, you know, it's either employees of the place walking around doing their thing, or it's just other patrons there. It's fucking retarded. I'm not even gonna look at it, but this clip is hilarious. So they are walking from one room to, they're going to check out their room, which is supposedly the most haunted one on the whole boat. And they look at how hesitant and paused they are. Each and every fucking one of them. And this fat fuck right here, he is nervous as fuck. He is just absolutely nervous because this whole thing is staged. He knows it's staged. He's trying not to act like it's all staged. He's trying to act normal, and he does a fucking horrible job of it. So, again, look at this. They all start walking down the hallway. One stops and turns. The other stops and turns. He stops and turns. He stops and slows down. They all stop and slow down. He stops and turns. Okay, everybody's in place. Everybody's in place. All right, let's go ahead and walk down the hallway. Keep your angle. Keep your angle. Boom. This whole thing is the worst fucking staged bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. It is goddamn ridiculous how obvious this is that it's staged. And of course, their dumb fucking 12, 14-year-old audience eats this shit up, and that's why they get 1 to 2 million views every single one of their dumb fucking videos. It's ridiculous. It's just so blatantly obviously staged. How a human being watches this and thinks that it's at all legitimate is fucking beyond me. I'm not even going to spend another 2 seconds on this. Fuck this channel and their bullshit. Alright, this next clip is from The Haunted Side, a paranormal investigation channel that I did a little bit of research on, and their thumbnails are hilarious. Their titles are hilarious. They seem to be a lot more about getting those like buttons smashed, and they have a lot of sponsorships and stuff like that. So it kind of advertises the type of channel that they really want to be. It's another Ghost Adventures clone. That's exactly what it is, and we all know how that whole thing turned out. It's all fucking smoke and mirrors to get views, and it's no different on YouTube. You'll see in this clip that these folks are using some ghost hunting technology, which I'm probably going to do an entire fucking video on that later on. These ghost hunters using all of these bits of technology is tantamount to a Hollywood actor putting a calculator in his hand and saying, I'm a fucking mathematician now. Like this thing right here is one of those electronic devices that picks up on radio frequencies and then gives the spirit an opportunity to manipulate those frequencies, and the machine takes those manipulations and then spits out words. It's basically the exact same programming that's in a fucking slot machine at a casino. It'll take a preset input, and then based on previous inputs, it'll put an output out. The words themselves are fucking arbitrary and more than likely pre-programmed by whatever company is selling or building these devices in the first place. It's fucking bullshit and should never be taken seriously, and from a scientific standpoint cannot be taken seriously. This is the first clip that they use as evidence. Something appears to fly across the screen very, very fast, and then the camera falls over. I don't think this is in any way even close to evidence of something paranormal. It's inside of a basement in a very old building. Very, very easily could have been a bat, or they could have just had a string on the fucking tripod and pulled it and then edited in the little white fuzz going across the screen. They don't have any other cameras down in the room to show this camera falling. That's all they have. That is literally all they have, is a camera falling over, which means fuck all. I'm not going to waste any more time on that. Now, this next clip that is used as evidence is pretty silly to me as well. Here's the clip that is supposedly paranormal. Now, first thing I want you to notice is the angle at which this guy's looking at. He is looking down in this direction. So this area over here is where he's going to see. He says he sees a whole fucking person out of the corner of his eye, out of his periphery. Yeah, you can't say that, because first of all, if you see something in your periphery, you're not actually seeing it. Your eyes are telling your brain, there's this shape of something over here. This is what I think it is. So 99.9% of the time, your eyes are just lying to you to get you to look that way, because from an evolutionary standpoint, our point of our eyes basically is they're a defense mechanism to make sure that we can notice predators around us and notice their camouflage and recognize it and do something about it. So if our brains are being told by our eyes, here's the shape of something in the corner in your periphery, your brain is going to immediately fill in the blanks and say, that's a fucking person. Look at it immediately, decide, should I run or should I stay? And that's exactly what happens here. He is looking away, and out of the corner of his eye, in this area, you can actually see there is a shadow of something that moves in front of the light that's back in that hallway. You can see right there, there is a shadow of some sort goes across the wall in there. He sees it out of the corner of his eye, turns and looks and points, and then the audio in the clip I don't have on right now, but he says, I just saw a whole fucking person. I just saw a person walk back there. Again, you can't say that shit because you didn't actually see it. Your periphery saw it and then told your brain it's probably this. That doesn't make it real. What you can clearly see in this clip is that something obstructs the light source that is at the ceiling of that hallway back there. This is not an enclosed building, and there's no defined shape to it, and you could see it's more than likely something that flew in front of the light at that point in time and caused a shadow to go on the wall, which in the corner of his eyes appeared to be something moving over there that he thought was humanoid in shape. That's all this clip is. Of course, they run back there all freaked out. Oh, there's nobody back here. I'm so surprised. Must have been a ghost. To come to that conclusion after this sequence of events speaks volumes to what they are actually there to do, which is get footage, whether it's legitimate or not. They're getting footage that gets them views. And they successfully did that. Alright, this next clip comes to us from Kelsey Davies, the basic clickbait queen of paranormal investigating. She's a basic bitch. She's an overactor. Watched a bunch of her videos. Can't say that I'm too impressed. I think that she legitimately believes that the things that she is going through is paranormal. But that also speaks volumes to the level of logic she is capable of using with her investigations. So keep that in mind. She is investigating the Clown Motel in Nevada. I want you to know as a viewer, first and foremost, that this is a tourist attraction, and it is right next to the Tonopah Cemetery, which it advertises as very, very haunted, as well as advertises that the clowns within its hotel, some of them are cursed. So this is a tourist location that advertises that it's haunted and has cursed dolls, and advertises that it's next to a old cemetery. So of course they're going to jump at the heels at the opportunity for a YouTuber, a moderately famous one again, to come into their place. And again, they are not going to want that YouTuber to leave without getting something. Now this first clip is She is zooming close in on this clown's face, and then mysteriously, the leg starts to move. You know, God forbid she accidentally bumped into it, but she got that covered, because here in a moment, the owner says, "No, I saw her. She didn't bump into the leg." One, of course, the owner is going to say that. They want this place to be perceived as haunted to attract more tourism. Even if the owner did see her clearly bump into the leg, he's not going to say that. That's just, I'm not saying that he is a wholly dishonest human being, but he is running a business in the middle of fuck all Nevada and probably needs the money. You know, maybe she didn't bump into it, and maybe the owner himself has a string attached to it or something to make it bump whenever he sees somebody near it. You know, who knows? Again, this place is designed to give off that spook. Things just don't move on their own. Something forced that leg to move. And immediately going to a ghost is just the dumbest route you could take with what just happened here. This next part of the clip, I'm going to go ahead and let you listen to so you can hear for yourself what the noise is, and then I will tell you what it actually is. And then she, of course, not having done any research about the area, not having any idea what the fuck she's doing probably in her entire life, immediately thinks that it's the sound of a person getting attacked by a dog and that person screaming. I've listened to this clip 100 times. Nowhere in it do I hear the sound of a human voice or a human in distress. Nowhere in the sound do I hear anything that remotely sounds like a canine.
What was that?
Let me tell you. Here we are on Google Maps. Here's the world famous clown motel, and they are right here in this area, somewhere in the cemetery. Now, if you look right next door, literally maybe 500 feet away from them, is Tonopah Steel Alliance, a steel yard. But it really sounds exactly what I've heard before in my life, which is metal scraping on metal. And this obviously is the most logical explanation for that noise she heard. Some workers over there sliding metal around, stacking metal. Any number of things could have made that screeching noise that she heard and immediately decided it was a person getting attacked by a dog. She should be embarrassed that she actually puts that on the internet. Not that I don't have anything embarrassing on the internet myself, but we're not talking about me, we're talking about her. Here's the next part of the clip where her and her fellow investigator are still in the graveyard and weren't spooked enough by the dog attacking a human. They stick around a little bit longer and they hear what sounds like rocks being thrown at them. I wasn't there and you can't really hear much of it on the audio of the tape, so I'm not going to say conclusively what it is or isn't, but it is more likely that the proprietors of a cursed clown motel are out there throwing rocks to spook them, so, you know, ensuring that these YouTubers walk away with something to put on their channel. And they basically get free publicity and free advertisement for their place. And if it's not that, then it probably is just some tricksters out there who see these two very serious investigators walking around this graveyard at nighttime and decide this is the perfect opportunity to do something fucking hilarious and throw rocks around at them. Now, all that actually leads into this next clip. You know, whenever it comes to poltergeist type things, when spirits are moving things around, unless there is a massive body of evidence to show that it is not other things, my brain does not allow me to conclude that it was a fucking ghost. Unlike these two ladies here who have a chair move behind them and immediately go, oh my god, there is a ghost who, for whatever reason, decides to spook us by moving a plastic chair behind us, and then they freak out and run away. I think it's pretty dumb to jump to that conclusion, because shit moves around from natural things all the fucking time. And again, they're in a situation where it is beneficial for the people that own this facility if this investigative crew walks away with some sort of clip. So unfortunately, you can't see prior to them walking through this clip where that chair was beforehand. I don't even know if the chair was there. It could have been thrown into view by somebody behind the fence Any number of things could explain why this chair moves the way it does. And it just looks like the chair was just barely nudged a little bit and coincidentally away from where she was standing. They do both immediately hear something the opposite direction of the chair, both point their cameras and flashlight that way, and then coincidentally within 2 feet behind her, a chair decides to get knocked back away from them, almost as if she turned the camera, reached back or went back with her leg and kicked the fucking chair and then went, oh my god. Not saying that that's what happened, but it is a possibility. One that I would say is more probable than a fucking ghost deciding that the perfect way to make contact with the living is to knock over a plastic fucking chair. Alright, so this next clip comes from another one of these YouTube channels that records and live streams them walking around old abandoned buildings, always by themselves. And there's always just a absolute maddening amount of activity that happens in these videos. I mean, this guy alone has 144 videos up on his channel, all of which are fairly short. There's a couple that are a half an hour long and one that's like an hour and 40 minutes long, but they're all pretty short videos. This particular time, he finds this little cubby hole, appears to have been used as a home for a squatter. He says there's some rancid smells in there, which is probably maybe a toilet for a squatter that was there. He hears a bunch of knocking, hears some dude running down the stairs towards him when there's nobody there. You know, I tend to immediately find all of these to be staged, and every single one of these videos has something amazing like this happen. Every single fucking one. I mean, the chances of that actually being real are astronomically against them. In this video right here, you can actually see he goes back to investigate the inside of this cubbyhole underneath this stair, and the door closes, and then he apparently is trying to kick open the door here and cannot because something is forcing it closed. That's just not possible unless there's a ghost or a demon or a spirit on the other side, or there's another fucking person, probably a buddy of his that he does all these videos with, that throws rocks around, that stands on the other side of walls and knocks and does shit, runs around so that they get the sound of footprints. Or it's a homeless person or a squatter or somebody that does not want to be on camera and is really trying to scare this dude to leave the fucking place. He gets out of this room after finally beating the strength of a demon and forcing the door open, and then of course he gets out there as soon as he can, but by the time he gets out there, there's nobody there. One thing that can't be ignored here is the fact that he is using his camera vertically, and he does cut off a vast majority of the door from being in frame, which means that he could have had a rope lodged up in the top that he's holding at any other point in holding the door closed against his foot, that he could just release and let drop to the floor, and it would then join the rest of the rubble in there, and nobody would think the wiser of it. He also could have had some sort of adhesive, a piece of tape or something on the bottom of his foot that he stuck up against the door and was using that to make it appear to move back and forth with his foot and appear like somebody's on the other side of it. Both of these are very, very plausible theories, and I think that either of them is far more likely than a fucking demon on the other side of the door.